I'm just starting right now, love. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Thursday, April 29th, 2021, the 119th day of the year. And notice what's in the headlines. U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan has begun. And again, the target date is September 11th, a date the majority of the world writes 11/9 like 119, and they begin the withdrawals on the 119th day of the year. And again, 119, very significant number in terms of gematria. Vatican equals 119, Star of David equals 119, All-Seeing Eye 119. Of course, the Star of David, the flag of Israel, the nation that was set up after the World Wars as part of the ongoing Jesuit and Catholic Church agenda. And again, the calendar we're on is credited to the Catholic Church, so is the language we use. It's not hard to see who's running the show. And then also related on this same day, U.S. investigating possible mysterious directed energy attack near White House. And directed energy weapons, that's been a big conspiracy theory about September 11th, 2001. And that's truly a conspiracy theory, I would say, because I don't know for sure what took down the towers. Was it just demolitions? Was it a directed energy weapon? There was a hurricane off the coast in the Atlantic that day. What all was really going on 9/11? But again, on the 119th day of the year, both of these headlines, and there can be no mistake with the troop withdrawal, setting the target date to be finished by the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Again, all of this stuff is mockery, and maybe that is what they're telling us today, is that is what was used in the destruction of the towers, a directed energy weapon. They're saying, if you read the article, they're saying there's some people that have speculated that there's been something going on in the D.C. area. People have made some reports, some observations, but on this 119th day of the year, we get this headline. And if you want to read the article, I do have it at my website, GematriaEffectNews, or you can find it on CNN's page. I'm sure other sources have reported as well. And then in the news, the standoff that was going on yesterday in Boone, North Carolina, reportedly concluded after 13 hours. Another 13 in the land of 13 stripes and 13 years of slave school and 13 layers of bricks on the dollar bill. But notice, Boone, North Carolina in Gematria sums to 91. 91 has the strong relationship with 13. 91 is the 13th triangular number. If you add 1 through 13 together, it equals 91. And the standoff ends on the 119th day of the year. Fraternal Order of Police, 119. Keep in mind, All-Seeing Eye is also 119 because that's in the Fraternal Order of Police's logo. And, of course, the All-Seeing Eye sits above the 13 layers of bricks on the dollar bill. But what a length of a standoff for Boone, North Carolina. And I went to look into Boone, and I found out it was named after Daniel Boone, who you learned about probably in your elementary, middle school days. But something I noticed about Daniel Boone, I just had to plug in his name, and I said, wow, look at that, Daniel Boone 201. And I said, let me just measure from his birthday anniversary to when this started on April 28th. And I said, would you look at that? Started 177 days after his birthday anniversary. Remember, the Jesuit orders 177 forwards, 201 in reverse. The entity that runs the show. And a lot of examples of 177 and 201 from Catherine the Great, whose husband died after being poisoned by arsenic, the Jesuit favorite way to kill, on July 17th, to her saving the Jesuits with the 201 Jesuits she preserved after they were banned by the Pope in 1773, or more recently, Captain Tom in the UK. He was knighted on July 17th, 17/7, and died 201 days later, supposedly from COVID. And, of course, Event 201 was the coronavirus outbreak simulation. Don't forget things like New World Order and propaganda have the 177 connection as well. The Jesuits are the New World Order. And, you know what's funny? Just reading this part about Daniel Boone from his Wikipedia. Daniel Boone was an American pioneer and frontiersman whose exploits made him one of the first folk heroes of the United States. Boone became famous for his exploration and settlement of what is now Kentucky. And we are just days from the Kentucky Derby, aren't we? And, of course, they call that the Run for the Roses, which equals 201. There's one trainer that the race this year is 201 days from his upcoming birthday, Asmussen. Boone became famous for his exploration and settlement of what is now Kentucky, which was then beyond the western borders of the 13 colonies. Now we get a 13-hour standoff. Again, remember, news, sports, it's all scripted together because the Jesuits control the whole show. It's essentially like they contrive the information and the entertainment each day to program the minds of the masses that they clearly see as their property, you know. They put a number on us when we were born. They made us go to their slave school. They make us pay their slave taxes, you know. And we learn all about their folk heroes, like Daniel Boone. So, highly doubt any of this is a coincidence. And with regards to 13, we got another shooting in L.A., the land of 13. The shooting actually happened April 27th, and then April 28th, there were more headlines about it because apparently he had, you know, an arsenal of weapons at home. He had the full Adam Lanza stash. But the day that this news broke, or the shooting happened, April 27th, that's the 117th day of the year. If you write out 13 as a word, it equals 117, kind of like how Central Intelligence Agency's 117, 117, and CIA's 13. But also, LA, the land of 13, their baseball team's the Dodgers. Dodgers is 117. This is the year of the 117th World Series. I'm going to have to look more into this story because my guess is that this story is directly connected to the baseball season. So, start looking into the finer details. It'll start making a lot more sense. But this is how it is year after year. The news and the sports all scripted together. Idiots will always come along and be like, what, you don't think shootings happen? No, moron, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if it's in the national news, moron, it's part of the script. Moron. That's what I'm saying. Sorry if you're not a moron, but the morons, they need to understand my words. Okay. And then lost an Apollo 11 astronaut on the 118th day of the year from cancer. And Neo the hacker did a real decode here on this. He pointed out that he died on the 28th of the month, and Apollo 11 equals 28 like NASA equals 28 like kill equals 28. He died on 73-date numerology, and Apollo and NASA and sacrifice all equal 73. He died on a 37-date numerology as well, and cancer is also 37, as is a Wednesday, the day he died. He's got the 118 cancer piece. He points out that Armstrong equals 118 because, of course, Neil Armstrong, obviously part of the moon mission, and died 25 weeks after his birthday, death 25. He died 186 days before his upcoming birthday. Neil Armstrong's 186. Don't forget Neil Alden Armstrong is 201, and the moon landing was on the 201st day of the year, July 20th, 1969. In the time of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, and Cancer's astrological symbols is 69. But then he points out he died 26 weeks before his upcoming birthday. Cancer is 26, correct. He died 6 months and 3 days before his upcoming birthday. Michael Collins, 63. He was born October 31st, 1930, a date with 90 numerology, and he died at age 90. He died in Naples, Florida, which sits on the 81st meridian west, and Michael Collins equals 81 like ritual. And then he said it's also on the 26th parallel north, corresponding with the Cancer, and him dying 26 weeks before his upcoming birthday. And then he died exactly 38 weeks after Neil Armstrong's birthday. And, of course, death, murder, killing, they're all 38. In Hebrew gematria, moon is 38. Moon mission. He also died 3 months and 8 days before Neil Armstrong's upcoming birthday. Yeah, again. He died 8 months and 3 days after Neil Armstrong's death anniversary, murder 83. He died exactly 17 weeks before Neil Armstrong's upcoming death anniversary, kill 17. So yeah, Neo the hacker, always doing great work. If you guys aren't on Free to Find Truth, Neo's on there. And I mean, you know, if you follow my site, I don't know why you're not on Free to Find Truth, but you know, there are really good people stepping up in the community. If you come to this website and search Neo, you'll find his page, and I imagine if I go to his page, the comment he left on my site is probably, you just click his timeline, let it load. So the comment he left, he has it on his page. He's doing a lot of decodes here on his page, And just a reminder about this guy whose name is now Francis. A lot of times his name is Supervillain. Just beware of this guy. He acts like he's a friend of the community, but then he always ends up doing something devious. I'm going to let him hang around because he's so persistent. If I block this account, he'd be back the next day. But just realize this is not someone to trust here, old Francis, who's typically known as Supervillain. And he's got a decode here on Geno Hayes. I was going to talk about Geno Hayes' death in a moment. He's got some things that I definitely don't have. So, but yeah, again, a lot of people doing good work. Neo the hacker, one of them. And also on the 118th day of the year, yesterday, one of the big stories was that Rudy Giuliani's place in New York was raided by the feds as part of a federal investigation. Well, look at the Gematria federal investigation, 118. You know, he was the Trump who won the election on November 8th, 2016. And, but again, on the 118th day of the year, he becomes part of a federal investigation. And why aren't they investigating his role that he played in September 11th, since he clearly knew a few things about that day based on his actions, which is very obvious to see? Where's that federal investigation? Being part of the organized 9/11 attack, which was carried out by domestic terrorists, which Rudy Giuliani is definitely one of. And by the way, from his birthday to the raid was his 48th week of his age. Of course, Donald Trump's 48. So, okay. And that's what keeps the sheep in the left-right divide. Oh, now Biden's in there, so the feds are being used to raid Rudy's. I mean, that's the whole show, you guys. These guys are nothing but puppets. If you ever read a headline about Rudy Giuliani going to jail for anything, it would be just that, a headline, more political theater. These people aren't going anywhere. Okay, and then Geno Hayes, again, we've been talking about him since last week. We got the headline April 22nd last week, the day that Shock G died, that he was on his deathbed, essentially, Geno Hayes, at the tender age of 33. And notice, he died on April 26th, the 116th day of the year. Tampa, Florida's 116. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.'s 116. Remember, he went down to Tampa, Florida. Again, they won the Stanley Cup by the numbers. The Lightning won 44 days after Lightning burned up Tom Brady's hometown, and Lightning equals 44 in Gematria. That's why we had that day pegged. Even though I didn't really follow NHL last year, we had the day pegged that the Lightning would finish the Stanley Cup. We saw 44 days after Lightning again burned up Tom Brady's hometown. Sure enough, 44 days later, the Lightning win the Stanley Cup, when in Gematria, Lightning's 44. But then the 116th World Series, Tampa Bay made it to. And the Super Bowl, obviously Tampa Bay won. Now you have this former Tampa Bay football player dead on the 116th day of the year after his former team wins their Super Bowl. And he died on a date with 51 numerology. And from the Super Bowl to his death was a span of 79 days, which corresponds with Tampa Bay and murder and Society of Jesus. And with regards to the Jesuits, or the Society of Jesus, from Brady's birthday to the day he died, 266 days later, and Jesus Hominum Salvator's 266, the Jesuit motto reminding that Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope in the 266th, and he spoke in D.C. on the 266th day of 2015, September 23rd. So, again and again, same old thing. By the way, when Geno Hayes played for the Bucks, he wore 54, Jesuit Orders 54, and when he played for Jacksonville, who has the first pick in the draft today, he wore 55. Like how the Bucks just won Super Bowl 55. And then the latest, just police-related, what's the word? Police cruelty story. This time of an older white woman, a 73-year-old woman in 21, when, of course, 73 is the 21st prime. They said this happened to her on June 26th, a date written 26/6, like 266. Again, the Jesuit motto, Jesus Hominum Salvator equals 266 and 85. The Loveland police, Loveland 85, are supposedly guilty of this crime, and they even put out a video of them watching the computerized arrest, laughing about it. Again, this whole thing is such obvious made-for-TV propaganda. But the lawsuit filed by the family was April 14th, 2021, so not quite a year later. This was June 26, 2020. Lawsuit filed this year, April 14th, 2021, 14/4, like Jesuit Order 144. And notice the victim's name, Karen Garner, the exact same gematria as Catholicism in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. Again, the Jesuits serve the Catholic Church, the Pope. This news broke April 27th, and it had the same date numerology as June 26, 2020, a date with 72 numerology, also connecting to Jesuit Order. If you write out Loveland Police, it equals the same thing as Eric Garner. The Eric Garner police killing of July 17th, 2015, or 2014, actually, same year as Michael Brown. July 17th, 2014. Notice, this woman's name was Karen Garner, same surname as Eric Garner, but June 26th is the 177th day of the year, and Eric Garner's killing was July 17th, 17/7, like 177. Again, the Jesuit Order 177, New World Order 177, Propaganda 177. And it's obvious. That's what it is. I mean, who is this lady really? She's probably someone who worked with the police her whole life, or government, intelligence. Again, that's who controls our nightly news. Military, government, intelligence. It's all mind control. Look at Low Impact Flicks. Have you seen his coverage of this video? He's all emotionally distraught. First he tells you to go buy some basement snacks and then some portable flashlights, and then he comes on, he's all provoked by the story. Why isn't this getting more attention? Look, it's just like, God, this guy's a dope. I mean, and people follow this dope. All he does is just keep up with the headlines and get emotionally invested and act like every story in the news is real and sell some more stuff. I mean, people who follow channels like this, I guess not surprised. It's a nation of dummies. I mean, it's just a nation of morons. So, of course, dumb people will follow other dumb people. But, again, there's a reason channels like his, he's dealt with a little censorship recently, but nothing. I mean, hardly compared to the real truth speakers like myself. His first channel just got censored a few months ago. I've had how many channels deleted since 2017? But understand why these trash channels are out here. They don't care about the truth. They're not promoting anything but their own business, their own sales, their own merchandise. And essentially, they just make you dumber by watching them. I mean, anyone who's still watching the news and getting emotionally invested in it, that's an idiot. That is an idiot. That's all it's meant to do. So, again, a lot of shills out here. And even the shills are starting to get some sort of censorship. So, I guess YouTube fears that the dummies following the people just slightly less dumb than them might get a little bit smarter by following, the slightly less dummies, and they just want to keep people at the bottom. But you follow Low Impact Flicks, you're not far from it. Okay, now a story that I definitely missed that I am glad somebody clued me into, and I don't know how I missed this. I guess it's not getting much coverage over here in the U.S., but Israel on February 18th announced that they were bringing something called the Green Pass. And it went live 3 days after the announcement. But they announced this on the 49th day of the year, and green as a color with the most simple cipher is 49. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, the rules numerology, Green Pass is also 49. So green and Green Pass, 49 in the base ciphers. On the 49th day of the year, they make this announcement out of Israel, which truly is the land of the synagogue of Satan. And again, ask yourself why the Catholic Church would help bring about Israel by the numbers. Because they're fulfilling prophecy. You need the synagogue of Satan. That's what Israel is in the ongoing Jesuit scheme. And the synagogue of Satan is mentioned in Revelation, the concluding book of the Bible, where you must accept the mark if you want to buy or sell. And that's what the Green Pass is. This is your COVID passport in Israel that you must have if you want to buy or sell. Revelation's 49, Green Pass is 49, Green's 49, the announcement on the 49th day of the year. And by the way, the other thing about February 18th that should be pointed out is Holy Roman Empire's got that 218, right? Holy Roman Empire 218. It's got that 88 and 74 as well, like Jewish. And again, the Jews have been powerful since before the time of Rome, and they're very much part of the biblical story, and which takes place in the time of Rome, of course. Green Pass, for the record, also has gematria of 104 and 39, like Jerusalem, like Freemasonry, like Roman Catholic Church. Well, Roman Catholic Church has the 104 connection. Think about places like America. America equals 139. Our birth numerology, 7/4/1776, 104. As for the Green Pass officially going live on February 21st, Bible's 21, right? That's one thing, but that's the 52nd day of the year. And Prophecy's 52, Revelation, a book of prophecy, about how you'll have to have this mark to buy or sell. All of this narrative clearly fits in. And remember what we were saying? We were saying the same thing over a year ago when all this set in on January 21st. That was the day of the headline. First case of coronavirus confirmed outside of China, and happened to be in Seattle, Washington, where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation got that 121. And, I mean, we've been on it since the whole time. We're saying, watch, because of this, they'll start, pushing out things like vaccines, and they'll make it real difficult to live without, complying with their rules. We had all this mapped out over a year ago. So, oh, by the way, February 21st, the day it went live, it had 64 and 44 numerology as well, and Israel's got that 64-44 connection. So those are other big numbers with the nation's history. And then last night, if you caught the end of TFR, we did some overtime. Jonathan called in, did the final hour of the show, and he brought up how Shock G, who was announced dead last Thursday, a week ago, how he was arrested, and they're making noise about that, his arrest, June 13th, 2017. What I noticed right away when he said June 13th is that's the day leaving 201 days left in the year. Remember, that's the day that they burned the Wendy's last year in Atlanta, June 13th, after the George Perry Floyd 201 ritual in Minnesota, Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, George Floyd in Minnesota, back to Rashard Brooks in Georgia. And then what we were talking about when the Atlanta was in its little state of chaos is how the show Containment was about like civil unrest and a viral outbreak in Atlanta, and that show concluded July 19th, 2016, which was the 201st day of the leap year. But anyway, this thing about Shock G being arrested June 13th, 2017, from that day to his death, April 22nd, was 201 weeks later. It was also 2 more days, but still, it was 201 weeks later. After being arrested on the 201st day of the year and getting this negative publicity. And I mean, come on. You don't think that Shock G, from the time that he was an entertainer, early 90s, up to 2017, what was he arrested for? Some paraphernalia. I mean, just some petty drug charge. I mean, what, you don't think he's had paraphernalia on him a lot since the 90s up to 2017? I mean, how many of us have? So, again, you can see that this is some kind of ritual shaming by the numbers, another 201 Jesuit ritual in the Jesuit-controlled world of hip-hop. But then to die 201 weeks later, too, in a clear ritual. And on April 22nd, the 112th day of the year, we know that was really for the Super Bowl, but still, 112 is another big Jesuit number. They claim to operate in 112 countries because Catholicism is 112. And then in case you missed last night, what we talked about, Tupac died at age 25. Shock G, who kind of made Tupac, died 25 years later. And what Jonathan uncovered is how a member of the group, Kenny K, died in 94, right when they got popular, right after their breakout. I mean, they broke out like 91, 93, so he died shortly after. But he died on February 5th, 25, and he was from Tampa. And I didn't realize this, but I guess Shock G spent a lot of his life in Tampa too, but Tampa Bay equals 25, just like death. And again, he ends up dying 25 years after Tupac in Tampa Bay after they win the Super Bowl. It's amazing how they do it. Oh, and by the way, what else Jonathan pointed out last night is their first album was called Sex Packets, which equals 57. Just like his birth name, Shock G, Greg Jacobs, who died at age 57. Okay, so Another 201. And remember, DMX just had his memorial April 24th this past weekend. Another rapper died on that day at 33. Cameron Hennigan Jr., whose rap name was Cam Coldheart. But he died 45 days after his birthday. Hip hop and ritual are 45. You could also say he died on his 46th day of his age. Rap, Sacrifice, Sangali, all 46. And again, there's not a lot of details on his cause of death, but something I did notice is the date he died had 49 numerology. Remember, DMX died on April 9th, and then they had his memorial on this day with the 49 numerology, and Darkman X is 49, and all the other 49s with DMX's death. But then this rapper, Cam Coldheart, 49. He dies on the day of DMX's memorial. Something tells me these things are not unrelated, but this is all just part of this, sick network. And whenever I see 49, what I always think of is just revelation. Revelations about the battle between good and evil. So these rituals clearly part of the evil. And but by the way, also they've just been running this in the headlines in recent days. I'm sure you've seen this, that we could run out of gas this summer because there's not enough drivers. It's like, what happened in America? I thought everyone was put out of work. Shouldn't people be motivated to get jobs, or is it because they all got so many government checks? It's like, what's going on? But is this real? Is there really not enough drivers on the road to deliver the gas? Because that's what CNN's projecting, because there's so few drivers on the road, gas stations will probably run out of gas. And again, this could just be all more fear and, just another reminder to go out and spend some more money, or go buy a bunch of tanks and fill them up with gas and keep them in your shed all through this summer. I don't know, but if there really is a gas shortage, I'm sure it's us being played for fools and being manipulated to drive up prices and all this type of thing, like they always do. Just more manipulation, more forced narratives that are not true. And again, I guess make sure you have a bicycle. Okay, and then they just keep making all this noise about India now with the outbreak. Just another story that doesn't really make any sense if you use your brain. Deadly COVID's been out there since, the end of 2019 in China, which is India's neighbor, but somehow it skipped all over the world, skipped to the U.S., then to Italy and Brazil, but now it's just finally reaching India, China's next door neighbor. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Some people are like, it's not finally reaching, but okay. Why wouldn't it have been a big epidemic or pandemic until over a year into it? You're just seeing how they're just doing this, just manufacturing storylines to keep you thinking. They're like, because India has it so bad and they're such a population center, this is going to spread it all over the world even more. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. What about China? Massive population center. At the beginning of the pandemic, they're showing how they're boarding people into their homes, but then China has it relatively under control. I mean, nothing about this makes sense. Africa has almost no cases, the continent that always gets plagued by disease and illness. And again, how can Africa have almost no cases while they're telling black Americans and black people worldwide that they're the most vulnerable to COVID? Okay? Africa doesn't have cases, so why would black people be more vulnerable? None of this makes any sense. Not that it's ever made any sense from day one, as we've been pointing out the whole time. But again, as we know, news is for dummies. It's dumb, contrived information put out each day to steer the minds of the masses who cannot think for themselves and are too stupid to see the obvious. And when you learn Gematria, you see right through it by the numbers. And the mockery is thick. I mean, just this directed energy weapon and the withdrawal on the 119th day of the year with the target date for September 11th. I mean, it just couldn't get any more obvious. So I'd stay on longer, you guys, but I do have some chores around the house that I need to get done. All this hard work allows the house to get real dirty and nasty. Normally I'm very clean. My house is pretty clean, but I mean, it needs a good cleaning. Sweet Lady and I are going to clean house today. And then I do need to get out and pound some pavement today because Meg wants to get after it, so we'll be doing that as well. So I got to do some cleaning right now. I will be out on the corner later on twitch.tv on the Gematria Effect News channel there. But for now, it is time to do some spring cleaning. All right, Truth Seeker, appreciate all of you. Thanks again for being here, and have a great rest of your day.